The knife pressed into my father's throat, and I didn't scream. I couldn't. Because the man holding it wasn't looking at my father anymore. He was looking at me. Before we continue, like the video, subscribe, and comment your country. Now, let me tell you a story. My father's hands were shaking when he opened the door. I knew that shake. I'd seen it before, 3 weeks ago, when the first man came. And then again, 2 weeks after that. But this time was different. This time, the man who walked through our door didn't bother with pleasantries. Tae-song didn't introduce himself. He didn't need to. He stood in our tiny living room like he owned it, like he owned the building, like he owned the entire neighborhood and everything in it. His suit was black, expensive, the kind that didn't wrinkle even when you did terrible things in it. His face was sharp, all edges and angles, eyes so dark they looked empty. Cold. Like staring into a well with no bottom. My father stumbled backward. Please. I just need more time. 1 more week, I swear. Your time ran out 6 days ago. Han's voice was quiet. Deadly quiet. The kind of quiet that made you want to run. I stayed exactly where I was, standing in the doorway to the kitchen, a dish towel still in my hands. I watched him. I watched the way he moved, calculated, controlled. I watched the way my father crumpled in front of him. This man who raised me alone after my mother died. This man who worked 2 jobs and still couldn't make ends meet. This man who made 1 stupid, desperate mistake and borrowed money from people who didn't forgive mistakes. 1 more week and I'll have it, my father begged. I swear on my life. Your life isn't worth the interest. Han didn't even blink. You owe Chairman Kong 3 million won. You've paid back 200,000. Do the math. I did the math. It was impossible. Even if my father worked himself to death, we'd never have that kind of money. That's when Han's eyes slid to me. I felt it like a physical touch, his gaze dragging across my face, down my body, back up again. Not sexual. Worse. Calculating. Like I was an object he was appraising. Like I was collateral. Who's she? He asked, still looking at me. My father stepped between us, panic flooding his face. My daughter. She has nothing to do with this. Please leave her out of. How old? 22, but. Working. She's in university. Studying business. She's got a future, she's got value. Han stepped around my father like he wasn't even there. He walked toward me, and every instinct screamed at me to move, to run, to do something. But I didn't. I wouldn't give him the satisfaction. He stopped 3 feet away. Close enough that I could smell his cologne, something dark and woody, expensive like everything else about him. Close enough that I could see the small scar above his left eyebrow, a thin white line that made him look even more dangerous. What's your name? He asked. I lifted my chin. None of your business. My father made a strangled sound. Zara, don't. Zara. Han repeated my name slowly, like he was tasting it. Zara Adeyemi. Business student. 22 years old. Living in a 1-bedroom apartment in Itaewon with a father who can't pay his debts. He tilted his head. You know what happens to people who can't pay Chairman Kong. I know you're a thug in a nice suit who makes money off desperate people, I said. My voice didn't shake. I was proud of that. I know you're probably not even 30, and you've already sold whatever soul you had. I know. He moved so fast I didn't see it coming. 1 second he was 3 feet away. The next his hand was around my wrist, pulling me forward, his face inches from mine. His grip was iron. Unbreakable. You know nothing, he said softly. You live in a fantasy where bad things happen to other people, where consequences are for someone else. But your father made a choice, and choices have prices. And right now you're looking at the man who collects. I tried to pull away. He didn't let go. Let her go. My father's voice cracked. Please, I'll do anything. Take my car, take my. Your car is worth 50,000 won at best. Han still hadn't looked away from me. I need real collateral. Something that motivates. The silence that followed was suffocating. My father understood first. I saw it happen, saw the color drain from his face, saw his legs almost give out. No. No, absolutely not. You can't. I can do whatever Chairman Kong tells me to do. Han finally released my wrist. I stumbled back, my skin burning where he'd touched me. Right now, he's telling me your debt is unrecoverable, which means we move to alternative collection methods. Your daughter comes with me. She stays until the debt is paid. Motivation. You mean hostage, I said. I mean collateral. She's a human being. She's leverage. Han reached into his jacket. I tensed, thinking weapon, but he pulled out his phone instead. He typed something, then held it up to show my father. This is the address of the man who owed Chairman Kong before you. Notice the past tense. I couldn't see the screen from where I stood, but I saw my father's face. Saw him look away, saw him press his hand over his mouth like he might be sick. "Your daughter comes with me tonight," Han said, pocketing his phone. "She'll be safe. She'll be fed. She'll be allowed to continue her studies remotely. But she doesn't leave until you pay what you owe. Every day she's with us, the interest compounds. So I suggest you work very, very hard." "And if I refuse?" my father whispered. Han smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. Then I stopped being nice. I packed a bag in silence. My father tried to argue, tried to reason, tried everything. Han waited by the door, checking his watch like this was just another Tuesday, just another job, just another girl being taken from her home because her father couldn't pay his debts. I hated him. God, I hated him. I threw clothes into my backpack, not caring what I grabbed. Jeans, shirts, underwear, my laptop, chargers, toothbrush. The basics. The essentials for whatever nightmare I was walking into. My father followed me into my room, tears streaming down his face. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'll fix this, I swear. I'll work 3 jobs I'll..." "It's okay, Papa." My voice was mechanical. "Hollow. It's not your fault." "It is. It's all my fault. Your mother would. Mama's not here." I zipped the bag closed. "But I am. And I'll be fine." I didn't believe that. Neither did he. When I walked back into the living room, Han was on his phone, speaking rapid Korean to someone. He glanced at me and ended the call. "Ready. Do I have a choice?" "No." At least he was honest. The car waiting outside was black, sleek, tinted windows so dark I couldn't see inside. A driver stood by the rear door, another man in another expensive suit. He opened the door without a word. I looked back at my father one last time. He stood in the doorway of our apartment building, looking smaller than I'd ever seen him, looking broken. "Get in," Han said. I got in. He slid in beside me. The driver closed the door, and the sound was final, like a prison cell locking. The car pulled away from the curb, and I watched my father disappear into the distance, shrinking, fading, gone. "Where are we going?" I asked. "Somewhere safe." "Safe for who?" Han didn't answer. He was texting someone, his fingers moving fast across the screen. The city lights blurred past the window, familiar streets turning unfamiliar, the neighborhoods getting quieter, more expensive, more isolated. 20 minutes later, we pulled up to a building that looked like it cost more than my entire neighborhood. Glass and steel, modern, exclusive. The kind of place where rent was probably more than my father made in a year. The driver opened my door. I stepped out onto the sidewalk, my backpack heavy on my shoulder. Han was already at the entrance, speaking to a doorman who nodded and unlocked the glass doors. We rode the elevator to the 23rd floor in silence. Han stood on one side, I stood on the other, as far apart as the small space allowed. I counted the floors. 14, 15, 16. Focused on the numbers instead of the panic building in my chest. The elevator doors opened directly into an apartment. Not a hallway. The apartment. The entire floor. I stepped inside and stopped. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city, lights sprawling out like scattered stars. The furniture was minimalist, expensive, black and gray and chrome. Everything was clean, perfectly arranged, like no one actually lived here. "Your room is down the hall, second door on the left," Han said, shrugging off his jacket. "Bathroom attached. Kitchen's open. You can order food, but nothing gets delivered here without clearance. If you need something, text me." He pulled out a business card, held it out. I didn't take it. He set it on the counter. "Rules are simple. You don't leave without me. You don't contact anyone without clearing it first. You go to your online classes, do your work, stay out of trouble. Questions? Just one." I turned to face him fully. "What happens if I run?" He looked at me like I'd just said something incredibly stupid. "You don't want to know. Try me." Han walked closer, and I forced myself not to step back. He stopped right in front of me, close enough that I had to tilt my head back to maintain eye contact. "If you run," he said quietly, "I find you. And when I find you, your father pays the price. Not you. Him. Do you understand?" I understood. I understood perfectly. "Good." He stepped back. "Get some sleep. Tomorrow, you start figuring out how your father's going to pay his debt." He walked past me down a different hallway, and I heard a door close. Then silence. I stood in the middle of the penthouse, surrounded by luxury I could never afford, held prisoner by a man I'd met 3 hours ago, and I did the only thing I could do. I went to my room, locked the door, and let myself break down where no one could see. I didn't sleep. How could I? Every sound made me flinch. Every shadow felt like it was moving. I kept expecting Han to open my door, to come in, to do whatever men like him did to girls like me. But he never came. By the time morning light started filtering through the blinds, I'd been awake for 36 hours straight, my body running on pure adrenaline and terror. I heard movement in the apartment around 6. Footsteps. Running water. The smell of coffee. I stayed in my room until 7:30, when my stomach finally forced me out. Han was in the kitchen, dressed in workout clothes, his hair damp like he'd just showered. He was drinking coffee and reading something on his tablet, completely relaxed. Like this was normal. Like I was supposed to be here. He glanced up when I appeared. There's bread. Eggs. Cereal. Help yourself. I didn't move. He went back to his tablet. I need to call my father, I said. No. He'll be worried. He knows you're alive. That's enough. That's not. Zara. He set down the tablet, his eyes meeting mine. The more contact you have with him, the harder this is for both of you. He needs to focus on earning money, not on whether you're okay. You are okay. You'll stay okay as long as everyone follows the rules. Clear. You're a monster. Yes. He picked up his tablet again. But I'm a consistent monster. Eat something. You look like hell. I hated that he was right. I hated that I was hungry. I hated everything about this situation. I made toast in silence, my hands shaking the entire time. I could feel him watching me, even though he pretended to be reading. I sat at the far end of the counter, as far from him as possible, and ate because my body demanded it. You have class today, he said after a few minutes. I looked up. How do you? I know everything about you. Your schedule. Your professors. Your grades. You're a good student. Don't let this situation change that. The way he said it, so matter-of-fact, so casual, made my skin crawl. What if I refuse? I asked. Then you'll fall behind, fail your classes, waste your future, and still be here until your father pays. Your choice. I wanted to throw my toast at him. Instead, I finished eating, rinsed my plate, and went back to my room. My laptop was where I'd left it. I opened it, logged into my university portal, stared at my assignments. Accounting. Marketing. Business ethics. Business ethics. The irony wasn't lost on me. I worked until lunch, forcing myself to focus, to pretend this was normal. Around noon, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Lunch is on the counter. Eat. I looked at the message for a long time before I stood up. There was food waiting. Soup, rice, side dishes. Still warm. He'd left it there without saying a word, without knocking on my door. I ate alone. He was nowhere in sight. This became the pattern. Days blurred together. I attended online classes. Completed assignments. Studied for exams. Han came and went, sometimes in suits, sometimes in all black, sometimes with blood on his knuckles that he washed off in the kitchen sink without explanation. I tried not to look. I tried not to care. But I noticed things. Small things. He never raised his voice. Never slammed doors. Never drank alcohol, not once. He kept the apartment spotless. He read constantly, always in Korean, sometimes in English, thick books about philosophy and history. He left food for me 3 times a day, always exactly what I needed, never too much, never too little. And he never, not once, tried to touch me. Other men came sometimes. Rough men with rougher voices, speaking Korean too fast for me to follow. They'd glance at me with interest, with hunger, and Han would say something sharp, something that made them look away immediately. Made them leave me alone. 1 week passed. Then 2. My father called Han's phone once. I heard it from my room, heard Han's voice through the wall. She's fine. You're still short 2 million. Work harder. Cold. Efficient. Heartless. I hated him. But I also noticed he always made sure I had fresh towels. That the heat was on when it got cold at night. That when I got my period and realized I'd forgotten to pack supplies, a bag appeared outside my door within 30 minutes, no questions asked. I hated him for being kind about the small things while destroying my life with the big ones. 3 weeks in, everything changed. I was in the living room, working on a group project for my marketing class, when the front door opened. Han walked in with another man, someone I hadn't seen before. Tall, broad-shouldered, with a scar running down the side of his face that made my stomach turn. This is Lee Min-jae, Han said. He works for Chairman Kong. He's here to check on our arrangement. Min-jae's eyes locked onto me immediately. He smiled, and it was the worst smile I'd ever seen. All teeth. No warmth. So this is the collateral, he said in English, heavily accented but clear. Pretty. Very pretty. Chairman Kong asked me to verify she's being treated well. He walked closer. Are you being treated well, sweetheart? I looked at Han. His expression was completely blank, but something in his posture had shifted. Tension. Coiled and ready. I'm fine, I said carefully. Min-jae reached out, like he was going to touch my face. Let me see. Han moved between us so fast it was like he teleported. 1 second he was by the door. The next he was standing directly in front of me, blocking Min-jae's path completely. She's fine, Han said quietly. You can report that to Chairman Kong. Min-jae's smile widened. Protective, aren't we? That's interesting. Very interesting. He stepped back, hands raised in mock surrender. Just doing my job, brother. Chairman Kong wants to make sure his assets are properly maintained. I maintain what I'm given. I can see that. Min-jae's eyes flicked to me one more time, lingering in a way that made my skin crawl. She looks well-fed, well-rested, almost like she's being pampered. He paused. Almost like someone cares. The air in the room changed. Got heavier. Dangerous. Tell Chairman Kong the debt is being paid down slowly but steadily, Han said. The father is motivated. The arrangement is working. Is it? Min-jae pulled out his phone, typed something. Because I'm looking at the payment schedule, and it looks like he's barely covering interest. At this rate, the girl will be here for years. That's not my problem. Oh, but it is. Min-jae pocketed his phone. See, Chairman Kong is wondering if maybe there's a reason you're being so patient. So gentle. So unlike yourself. He leaned in close to Han, lowering his voice, but I still heard it. He's wondering if you've gotten attached. I don't get attached. Then prove it. Min-jae smiled that terrible smile again. Chairman Kong wants her moved. To the main house. Where she can be properly supervised. By multiple people. Not just you. My blood went cold. Han's expression didn't change, but his hands flexed at his sides. That wasn't the arrangement. Arrangements change. You know that better than anyone. Min-jae headed for the door. Have her packed and ready by tomorrow night. Chairman Kong will send a car. He paused at the threshold. Oh, and Tae-song? Don't make this difficult. You've been with us too long to start having a conscience now. The door closed behind him. Silence. Han stood perfectly still, his back to me, his shoulders rigid. I could hear him breathing, slow and controlled, like he was counting each breath. What's the main house? I asked, even though I was terrified of the answer. Somewhere you don't want to be. Will I be safe there? He turned around, and for the first time since I'd met him, I saw something other than cold calculation in his eyes. Something that looked almost like regret. No, he said quietly. You won't. I spent the rest of the day in my room, pacing, panicking, trying to figure out what to do. I could run. I could try. But Han's words echoed in my head. Your father pays the price. Not you. Him. I couldn't do that to him. Not after everything. Not after he'd already lost so much. Around midnight, I heard a knock on my door. Zara. Open up. Han's voice. Quiet. Almost gentle. I considered ignoring him. But what was the point? I opened the door. He stood in the hallway, still dressed like he hadn't even tried to sleep. His hair was messy, like he'd been running his hands through it. He looked tired. Human. Pack your things, he said. It's the middle of the night. I know. We're leaving. Now. I stared at him. I don't understand. You're not going to the main house. He stepped closer, his voice dropping even lower. You're not going anywhere near Chairman Kong or his people. So pack your things. We have maybe 3 hours before they realize we're gone. You're helping me? I'm helping us both. His jaw tightened. I made a mistake. I should have never taken you in the first place. I should have told your father to run, to disappear, to take you far away from this life. But I didn't because I follow orders. Because that's what I do. That's what I've always done. He looked away. But I'm not following this one. Why? I whispered. Why risk everything for me? He was quiet for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely audible. Because you called me a monster on the first day. And you were right. But maybe I don't want to be a monster anymore. Something in my chest cracked. Not broke. Cracked. Like ice beginning to thaw. Where will we go? I asked. Somewhere they won't find us immediately. It'll buy us time. He met my eyes. Time for you to disappear properly. New identity. New life. Far away from here. What about you? I'll deal with the consequences. They'll kill you. Probably. Then why? Because some things are worth dying for. He said it simply. Factually. Now pack. Fast. We don't have much time. I moved on autopilot, throwing everything into my backpack again. My laptop, chargers, clothes, everything I'd brought, everything I'd accumulated in 3 weeks of captivity. When I came back out, Han was in the living room, packing a bag of his own. I saw a gun, cash, passports, multiple phones. Is one of those for me? I asked, nodding at the passports. Yes. False name, false documents. Good enough to get you out of the country. Out of the country? That's the only way you'll be safe. He zipped his bag closed. You'll go to the Philippines first. Then maybe Europe. Somewhere they don't have reach. And my father? Han's expression darkened. Your father is going to have to disappear too. I'll get word to him. Tell him to run. It's his only chance. This is insane. Yes. He picked up his bag, slung it over his shoulder. But it's the right kind of insane. Let's go. We took the service elevator down to the basement parking garage. Han's car was already running, like he'd started it remotely. Black. Fast. Expensive. We got in. He drove. No headlights. No music. Just the sound of the engine and the city disappearing behind us. Who taught you to be like this? I asked after 10 minutes of silence. Cold. Controlled. Violent. Chairman Kong. Is he your father? No. But he raised me anyway. Found me on the street when I was 12. Starving. Desperate. He gave me food. Shelter. Purpose. Han's hands tightened on the steering wheel. He taught me that loyalty is everything. That family is everything. That you protect your own, no matter what. And now you're betraying him. Now I'm protecting someone who matters more. I looked at him, really looked at him, in the dim light of the dashboard. The sharp lines of his face. The scar above his eyebrow. The exhaustion in his eyes. Why do I matter? I whispered. He didn't answer immediately. We drove another mile, maybe 2, before he finally spoke. Because you looked at me like I was human, he said quietly. Even when you hated me. Even when you were terrified. You never looked at me like I was just a weapon. Just a tool. You looked at me like I was a person who was making terrible choices. And no one has looked at me like that in a very long time. My throat tightened. You're still a monster, I said. But my voice was soft. Not cruel. I know. He glanced at me, just for a second, before returning his eyes to the road. But maybe I can be a better one. We drove for 2 hours, heading south, away from Seoul, away from everything familiar. Han took back roads, avoiding toll booths, avoiding cameras. He knew every turn, every shortcut. This wasn't his first escape. Finally, we pulled up to a small building on the outskirts of Busan. It looked abandoned, windows dark, no signs of life. Safe house, Han explained, killing the engine. One of mine. Personal. No one else knows about it. We went inside. It was sparse. A bed. A table. A small kitchen. A bathroom. Everything you'd need to disappear for a while. Han immediately went to the window, checking sight lines, angles. Always calculating. Always alert. I set my bag down on the table, suddenly exhausted. The adrenaline was wearing off, leaving me hollow. You should sleep, he said without turning around. We'll figure out next steps in the morning. What about you? I'll keep watch. Han. Sleep, Zara. I wanted to argue. But my body betrayed me. I collapsed onto the bed, still fully clothed, and within minutes, I was unconscious. I woke to the sound of voices. Angry voices. Speaking Korean. I sat up, disoriented, and realized it was still dark outside. How long had I been asleep? An hour? 2. The voices were coming from outside. I crept to the window, peered through a crack in the blinds. 3 cars. Maybe 8 men. And in the center of them all, looking furious and dangerous and absolutely terrifying, was Chairman Kong Do-hyun himself. I'd never seen him in person. Only in photos Han had shown me once. But I knew him instantly. Older, maybe mid-50s, but built like someone who still did his own dirty work. Gray hair slicked back. Eyes like frozen steel. And standing in front of him, alone, was Han. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I saw the body language. Chairman Kong was shouting. Han was standing perfectly still, head slightly bowed. Submissive. Accepting. Then Chairman Kong pulled out a gun. My heart stopped. He pressed it against Han's forehead and Han didn't move. Didn't flinch. Didn't beg. He was going to die. Right there. Right now. Because of me. I didn't think. I just moved. I burst through the door of the safe house, running into the cold night air, my voice ripping out of my throat. Stop. Every head turned toward me. Every gun raised in my direction. Chairman Kang's eyes locked onto me, and I felt the weight of his stare like a physical blow. "The collateral," he said slowly, lowering his gun from Han's head. "How convenient." Han's voice was sharp, desperate. "Zara, get back inside." "No." I walked forward, my legs shaking but my voice steady. "No. This is about me. So let's talk about me." Chairman Kong smiled. It was worse than Min Jae's smile. Colder. More cruel. "You have courage," he said. "Stupid courage, but courage nonetheless." He gestured with his gun. "Come here, girl." "Zara, don't," Han started. "Quiet." Chairman Kong didn't even look at him. "You've lost your voice in this conversation, Tae-song. You betrayed me. Betrayed your family. For what? A girl you've known for 3 weeks. For someone innocent," Han said quietly. "No one is innocent." Chairman Kang's eyes never left me as I walked closer, stopped 10 feet away. "Especially not her. She's a debtor's daughter. She's leverage. She's property until the debt is paid." "I'm a human being," I said. "You're whatever I say you are." The men around him laughed. Low, ugly sounds. I lifted my chin. "Then let me make you an offer." Chairman Kong raised an eyebrow. "You? Make me an offer? This should be entertaining. My father's debt is 3 million won. He's never going to pay that. You know it. I know it. But I can. How? Give me 6 months. Let me finish my degree. Let me work. I'll pay you back myself. Every one. With interest. And why would I trust you? Because unlike my father, I keep my promises." I held his gaze. "And because if you kill Han right now, you lose the best enforcer you've ever had. Everyone knows it. Everyone here knows he's worth 10 of any other man you employ. Is that really worth one debt?" Chairman Kong studied me for a long moment. The silence stretched, broken only by the sound of wind and distant traffic. Then he laughed. Actually laughed. "You have spine. I'll give you that." He lowered his gun completely. "But you're naive if you think this is about money." This stopped being about money the moment Tae-song decided a girl was worth more than his loyalty. He turned to Han. "Do you love her?" Han's jaw tightened. He didn't answer. "Do you love her?" Chairman Kong repeated, each word sharp as a blade. "Yes." The word hung in the air like a gunshot. I stopped breathing. Everyone stopped moving. Han looked at me, really looked at me, and I saw something in his eyes I'd never seen before. Vulnerability. Truth. Fear. "Yes," he said again, quieter. "I love her." Chairman Kang's expression went cold. "Then you understand what happens next." "I understand." "Good." Chairman Kong holstered his gun. "Here's my offer. The only offer. You both live, but you work for me until the debt is cleared. Both of you. She works at one of my businesses. You continue as you were, but now I own you both completely. You try to run again, I kill her father in front of her. She tries to run, I kill you in front of her. You betray me again, everyone you've ever cared about dies screaming." "Clear. Clear," Han said immediately. "No." I stepped forward. "No, that's not." "Zara." Han's voice was gentle. "Broken. Accept it. I won't let you. You don't have a choice." He walked toward me, ignoring the guns still pointed at him, until he was close enough to touch. "This is the best deal we're going to get. We stay alive. Your father stays alive. That's what matters. What about freedom? What about? Freedom is expensive." He reached up, tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. The gesture was so tender it made my chest ache. "And right now we can't afford it." Tears burned my eyes. "I hate this. I know. I hate you for getting me into this. I know." He smiled, sad and small. "But you'll hate me more if your father dies. So say yes. Please." I looked past him, at Chairman Kong, at the men with guns, at the cars ready to take us back to Seoul. Back to captivity. Back to a life that wasn't ours. "Yes," I whispered. "I accept." Chairman Kong nodded once. "Smart girl. Get in the car. Both of you." They separated us immediately. Han was taken back to his apartment. I was taken to a different building, different district, different prison. A small apartment above one of Chairman Kang's businesses. A high-end restaurant that served as a front for money laundering. My job was simple. Manage the books. Make the dirty money look clean. Use my business degree for crime. The irony wasn't lost on me. I worked 12-hour days. Came home exhausted. Slept. Repeated. I wasn't allowed a phone. Wasn't allowed internet access except at work, monitored. Wasn't allowed to leave except for the walk between my apartment and the restaurant. I didn't see Han for 3 weeks. I thought about him constantly. Wondered if he was alive. If he was being punished. If he regretted saving me. Then one night he appeared. I was walking back to my apartment late, exhausted, when a hand grabbed my arm and pulled me into an alley. I started to scream, but then I saw his face. Han. He kissed me. It wasn't gentle. Wasn't soft. It was desperate and hungry and tasted like blood and salt and 3 weeks of wanting. His hands were in my hair, my hands were clutching his jacket, and for one perfect moment, nothing else existed. When we broke apart, we were both breathing hard. I'm sorry, he said immediately. I shouldn't have. I kissed him again. Harder. More certain. This time when we pulled apart he was smiling. Actually smiling. I'd never seen him smile before. It transformed his whole face, made him look younger, lighter, almost happy. I'm being watched, he said quietly. I don't have long. But I needed to see you. Needed to know you were okay. I'm okay. Are you? I've been better. He touched my face, thumb tracing my cheekbone. Min-jae has been assigned to supervise me. Chairman Kong doesn't trust me anymore. I'm being tested constantly. Pushed to prove my loyalty. How do you prove it? His expression darkened. You don't want to know. Han. I'm doing what I have to do to keep you safe. That's all that matters. He glanced over his shoulder, paranoid. Listen to me. Keep your head down. Do your work. Don't try to contact your father. Don't try to run. Just survive. I'm working on a plan. What kind of plan? The kind that gets us out of this. Both of us. Permanently. He kissed my forehead. But it'll take time. Can you wait? I nodded. How long? I don't know. Months. Maybe a year. Can you be patient? For you? Yes. He closed his eyes like my words physically hurt him. I don't deserve you. Probably not. I smiled, trying to make it light. But you're stuck with me anyway. Zara. Voices. Korean. Getting closer. Han's entire body tensed. I have to go. If they find me here. Go. He kissed me one more time, quick and fierce, then disappeared into the shadows like he'd never been there at all. I stood in the alley for a long time after, my lips still tingling, my heart still racing. I was in love with a monster. And maybe that made me a monster too. For months past. For months of cooking books and watching criminals pretend to be businessmen. For months of sleeping in a cage and pretending I was free. For months of stolen moments with Han, brief touches in passing, whispered conversations in dark corners, kisses that tasted like goodbye. He was different now. Harder. There was blood on his hands more often. Bruises on his ribs. A haunted look in his eyes that never quite went away. What is he making you do? I asked once, after finding him in my apartment at 2 a.m, sitting in the dark, shaking. Things I can't tell you, he whispered. Things that keep you safe. I held him that night. Just held him. And he broke down in my arms, silent tears soaking into my shoulder, his body trembling with the weight of whatever horrors he was carrying. I'm becoming the thing you called me, he said against my skin. A monster. No. I pulled back, made him look at me. A monster wouldn't cry. A monster wouldn't care. You're not a monster, Han. You're a man trying to save someone he loves. There's a difference. Is there? I didn't have an answer for that. Month 5, everything fell apart. I was at the restaurant, late again, finishing the quarterly reports when Min-jae walked in. He'd been circling me for weeks, finding excuses to stop by, to check on my work, to stand too close and talk too quietly. Han had warned me about him, told me to never be alone with him. But Chairman Kong had sent everyone else home early. And Min-jae had a key. Working late, he said, closing the door behind him. Locking it. My stomach dropped. Just finishing up. I'll be done in 5 minutes. Take your time. He walked closer. I wanted to talk to you anyway. About what? About Tae-song. He sat on the edge of the desk, too close, invading my space. You know he's failing his tests. I kept my face neutral. I don't know what you mean. Don't play stupid. It doesn't suit you. Min-jae leaned in. Chairman Kong has been testing his loyalty, asking him to do increasingly difficult things. And he does them. But he hesitates. Every time. A split second. Just enough to show doubt. He smiled. That doubt is going to get him killed. That's not my problem. Oh, but it is. Because you're the reason he doubts. Min-jae reached out, tucked my hair behind my ear the same way Han always did. The gesture made my skin crawl. You're the reason he's weak. And Chairman Kong is starting to think maybe the solution is to remove the problem. Meaning me. Meaning you. He stood up, towering over me. Unless. Unless what? Unless you and I come to an arrangement. I stood up too, putting distance between us. What kind of arrangement? The kind where you forget about Tae-song. The kind where you're grateful to me for protecting you. The kind where, he grabbed my wrist, pulled me close. The kind where you show me the same loyalty you show him. I tried to pull away. His grip tightened, bruising. Let go. I don't think so. His other hand went to my waist, pulling me against him. You're wasted on Tae-song. He's broken. Used up. But me? I could give you everything. Protection. Money. Power. All you have to do is. The door exploded inward. Han stood in the doorway, and he looked like death itself. His eyes were wild, feral, fixed on Min-jae's hands on me. Let her go. His voice was quiet. Deadly. Min-jae smiled. Or what? Or I kill you. In front of a witness? In front of her? Chairman Kong will have your head. I don't care. Han moved. Fast. Brutal. Efficient. One punch to Min-jae's throat. The grip on my wrist released. Another punch to the solar plexus. Min-jae doubled over. A knee to the face. Blood. Teeth. The crack of bone. Min-jae went down hard. Han didn't stop. He kept hitting, kept striking, kept breaking things until Min-jae wasn't moving anymore. Until the only sound was Han's ragged breathing and my own racing heartbeat. Han! My voice was shaking. Han, stop. You'll kill him. Good. Han! He finally stopped. Stood up. His knuckles were split, bleeding. Min-jae was unconscious on the floor, face destroyed, blood pooling beneath him. Han turned to me, and I saw the monster. The real one. The one he'd been trying to hide. Did he hurt you? His voice was hoarse. No. You got here in time. If I hadn't. But you did. I walked to him, took his bloody hands in mine. You did. He looked down at Min-jae's body. I just signed our death warrants. I know. Chairman Kong will kill us both for this. I know. We have to run. Right now. Tonight. Then let's run. We took Min-jae's car. Left him bleeding on the restaurant floor. Drove fast and hard toward the coast. Han had contacts. People who owed him favors. People who could get us on a boat to Japan, no questions asked. We made it to Busan by dawn. Found the dock. Found the boat. But Chairman Kang's men found us first. They came out of nowhere, surrounding us, guns drawn. 12 men. Maybe 15. Too many to fight. Chairman Kong himself stepped forward, and he looked furious. I gave you a chance, he said to Han. I gave you multiple chances. But you just couldn't let her go, could you? Han stepped in front of me. Let her leave. She had nothing to do with Min-jae. That was all me. Min-jae is in a coma. Might never wake up. You destroyed one of my best men over a girl. Chairman Kong shook his head. I trained you better than this. You trained me to protect what's mine. She's mine. She's mine. Everything in my organization is mine. Including you. Chairman Kong raised his gun. But you forgot that. So now I have to remind you. He didn't aim at Han. He aimed at me. No, Han lunged forward. The gunshot was deafening. But I didn't feel anything. Didn't feel pain. Didn't feel anything except Han's body crashing into mine, taking me down, covering me. Then I felt the wetness. The warmth. The blood. Han. My voice was small. Terrified. He rolled off me, clutching his side, blood pouring between his fingers. The bullet had hit him instead of me. No, no, no. I pressed my hands over his, trying to stop the bleeding. Han, stay with me. Worth it, he breathed. You're worth it. Chairman Kong stood over us. Touching. Really. But ultimately pointless. He aimed again. Wait. A new voice. Female. Accented. A woman stepped forward from behind Chairman Kang's men. She was tall, elegant, dressed in expensive clothes. And she looked angry. Who? Chairman Kong started. Detective Kim Min-seo, International Crime Division. She pulled out a badge. And you're all under arrest. Chaos. The dock exploded with activity. Police swarmed from everywhere. Undercover officers I'd mistaken for criminals. Real criminals trying to run. Gunshots. Shouting. I held on to Han, trying to keep pressure on his wound, trying to keep him conscious. You're okay, I kept saying. You're okay, you're okay. Liar, he whispered. But he was smiling. Paramedics arrived. Pulled me away. Loaded Han onto a stretcher. I tried to follow, but someone held me back. The detective. Kim Min-seo. You're safe now, she said. Both of you. We've been building a case against Chairman Kong for 2 years. We've been watching you. Watching Han. We know what he did. We know he tried to save you. Is he going to die? The bullet missed major organs. He'll survive. She squeezed my shoulder. And he'll be granted immunity in exchange for testimony. So will you? You're both free. Free. The word didn't feel real. 3 months later. Han was released from the hospital after 6 weeks. Spent another 6 weeks in protective custody, giving testimony, helping the prosecution build their case against Chairman Kong and his entire organization. I testified too. Told them everything. The debt. The kidnapping. The abuse. The fear. Chairman Kong was sentenced to life in prison. No parole. His entire organization collapsed without him. And Han and I were free. Actually free. I found him on a bench outside the courthouse, looking at the city, looking lost. "Hey," I said, sitting beside him. "Hey." We sat in silence for a long time. "What do we do now?" he asked finally. "I don't know. What do normal people do?" "I've never been normal." "Me neither." I took his hand. "But maybe we can figure it out together." He looked at me, and I saw the man I'd fallen in love with. The monster who chose to be better. The killer who learned to protect instead of destroy. "I still don't deserve you," he said quietly. "Probably not." I smiled. "But you're stuck with me anyway. For how long? How long do you want?" He kissed me, soft and sweet and full of promise. "Forever," he whispered against my lips. "If you'll have me." Forever sounds good. We started over. New names. New city. New life. My father disappeared too, relocated by witness protection, living somewhere safe under a new identity. I got letters sometimes, forwarded through official channels. He was okay. He was healing. He was proud of me. Han and I got a small apartment in Tokyo. I finished my degree online. He worked construction, physical labor that let him use his body without hurting anyone. We weren't perfect. We had nightmares. We had hard days. Sometimes I'd wake up and forget where I was, think I was back in that penthouse, trapped. Sometimes he'd wake up shaking, covered in sweat, still fighting demons. But we fought them together. 1 year later, on the anniversary of the day we ran, Han proposed to me on the beach at sunset. No ring. No speech. Just 5 words. "Will you marry me?" "Yes." 2 years later, we had a daughter. We named her Hannah. Hope. She had my dark skin and his dark eyes and the most beautiful smile I'd ever seen. And when she asked years later how her parents met, we told her a different story. A safer story. A story about love at first sight and coffee shops and normalcy. Because some truths are too heavy for children to carry. But I remembered. We both remembered. I remembered the man who collected debts until he collected me. I remembered the monster who chose to be human. I remembered the night he took a bullet meant for me and called it worth it. And every night, after Hannah went to sleep, I'd find Han on our balcony, looking at the city lights, still keeping watch. "What are you thinking about?" I'd ask. "How lucky I am," he'd say. "To be alive? To have found you." And I'd hold him, this man who'd been broken and rebuilt, this man who'd traded violence for love, this man who'd chosen me when choosing me could have cost him everything. He did cost him everything. His old life. His old family. His old identity. But he gained something better. He gained us. Thank you so much for watching this story. What do you think? Was Han a monster who became a man, or was he always a man forced to be a monster? Who do you think showed more courage, Zara for staying or Han for leaving? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story touched you, please consider leaving a super thanks to support more stories like this. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and share this with someone who loves intense romance stories. What should I write next? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for being here. Until next time.